Welcome to Opex Podcast. Hello everyone, I'm PraiseHopel from Opex Podcast, and today we will continue to talk about fears of facing fears, part 2. The first part of fears of facing fears talked about how people naturally have fears and things that we can do to overcome our fears. But we are going to go more in details because fears is actually a natural part of human being, of humanity, and it is a must for everybody, people, to face fears at some point in life. So today we're going to go more in details on how to overcome fear. Remember that fear is a normal thing in life, and there are so many ways that we can encounter it and so many ways that we can overcome it. I'm PraiseHopel. I cannot wait to see what people have to say in the comments, so stay tuned. And thank you for always coming back to listen to Opex Podcast. Opex Natural, a company owned by Opex Market, has been helping people all over the world with skincare problems such as eczema, acne, and so much more. If you'd like to try out skincare products with vegan, natural, organic, non-GMO ingredients, you can definitely visit HopexMarket.com. They have body butters, body scrubs, and so much more that works for different types of skin and all skin type. If you're trying to get away from chemical intoxication, Opex Natural is the go-to. So visit Opex Natural at HopexMarket.com. Good evening, I'm PraiseHopel from Opex Podcast. In today's episode, we talk about fears of facing fears, part 2. About a week or 2 weeks ago, we talked about fears and the fears that we face facing fears. If you haven't listened to the podcast, you should absolutely, I strongly advise you to listen to it. And if not, you can just continue from here. One thing that fear is defined as is that fear is a part of life. It is a must for everybody to go through a time that we might face something that scares us and things that we're just afraid of, and we think that we cannot overcome those things, such as panics, attack, bad news. Sometimes it could even be good news, and we just might think, different things. But fears have to come to pass. It has to come into existence. It has to be a part of us, because that is what makes people stronger. If we learn to overcome our fears, we will learn to take steps in life. I remember very well that I am very scared of heights. That is that when I look down from a place that is far away, down deep away, I get really scared. So a friend of mine took me to Six Flags, and I didn't tell him that I was scared of heights. I didn't tell him all of that. We were on the roller coaster swings and we had a lot of fun. But to me, it wasn't fun at all because I was very scared of heights. But I was glad and I was happy that I did went through that process, because it helped me to overcome my fear. I knew and understand that I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna die, and of course I'm alive and came back alive. So that's one thing that we have to understand and realize, is that fear is a liar. Okay, it's not something that's real all the time. We sometimes might think of some things in our head and imagine things, and we just might think that these things that we are imagining are real things, but they're not. Our imaginations sometimes can create tricks, even fears, that we think that it might be something that might hurt us, that we are so scared and scary of facing it. But fear is a liar. It's not something that exists. It's your imagination. And if you don't put your imagination into work, it's not going to come into existence until you pronounce it into yourself or into your life. So if you have fears and you start to act on those things that scares you, you're absolutely going to be fearing things and scared of those things, because you keep thinking that they're real and that they exist. That's number one. Number two is that There are sometimes that fear is actually real. I mean, to think about it. Remember, we have a lot of shootings going on in the United States in the past years. Sometimes they shoot at the mall, or sometimes at the school, sometimes anywhere in the house, besides even the police or shooting. There are guns everywhere in the world, and shootings happen. People shoot and do things they shouldn't do to each other, even when it's not legal or protected or the right for people to do it. People that are not trying to shoot should not be shooting at all. And if you or somebody is caught in a situation such as suicide or shooting or anything that makes you panic, then you have fear. It's like if somebody walks into a mall or a classroom with a gun and trying to shoot everybody, of course that person is going to be scared. Of course people are going to be scared. That fear is real. That fear, it might be imaginary, it might be something that's not there. You might even be calm and be able to calm somebody down or people there down. But whoever's trying to threaten you, I've created this fearful moments, this fearful process that you're scared to even face or think. Okay, you've went into this mode of you thinking because they've created fear. And that's number 3. It's called energy and power that people use against, for one another and towards each other, upon one another. And this power can sometimes create fear. If somebody has a gun on your face or have something that can threaten your life or threatening the people that you love, of course you're going to be scared. That's a natural response. Sometimes it's okay to fear. Okay, it's okay to fear. But if this topic has nothing to do with a type of fear that you're going through, then we're still going to talk more about fears in other episodes. But fear is a liar. It cannot come into existence without you pronouncing it that it's real. It's something that we imagine, and then a state that we put ourselves in a position that we think that it's either over or we have to face something that is so terrifying, and we just have to face it. Now, number 4 is that when you face fears, you have fears of facing your fear. Okay, you have fear of facing your fears. And that's because that's the only way to overcome it. That's the only way to overpower it. For people or anybody to overcome fear, they have to have, doubts on their mind that they're about to do something or face something. And if they don't have those power and those energy to face those fear, well, it's going to forever be a fear. The first step of overcoming fear is actually identifying that yes, it's a fear, accepting that yes, it's a problem, and then taking steps to overcome that problem and that fear. So that's number 4. Number 5 of facing fears can also be our actions. Okay, our actions impact the things that happens around us. Our actions impact things that we face, things that we go through, things that we see, and things that we experience. Sometimes we bring things into our lives that are faulty, things that affect us because of our doing and our power, and the things that we do that then starts to affect us. And number 7 is that sometimes fear is brought into our lives through other people. Okay, like their character, their energy, their emotions, their vibes, the things they say, things that hurt, hateful things, hurtful things, negativity can bring fear, doubts. And the most powerful method that fear can actually get to people is the word of mouth. The things that you say is actually more scary than you looking at somebody that looks scary. The word of mouth can actually kill people more than taking a gun or stabbing somebody with a knife. Because the word of mouth sticks to your mentality. It sticks to you forever, and it's up to you to either use this word against you or use it to make yourself better. So fear is a normal part of life. We human beings just have to find ways to overcome them. Now, the ways that we can overcome fears. Step 1 is accepting it. It's happening. Step 2 is decide if it's real or it's imaginary. Like I said, fear is a liar. Lying doesn't have to be real because it's either made up or it never happened. So you have at the back of your mind that it's not real. Even though it's happening, it's really happening, you know this is real. But the fear that you created in yourself, that's not real. That is your imagination and your thoughts and your energy because you're in the mode that you're facing something that you have on your mind that you cannot handle, that you cannot face. Number 3 is knowing how to sort out fear and how to actually, you know, encourage yourself to believe that you can overcome it. Because if you don't believe that you can overcome it, then you will never have the power to. Number 4 is finding a solution to overcome that fear. Either it's business fears, either it's life fear, either it's personal fear. We're gonna go into details with them later, not in this episode, but another episode. Different type of fear that people can go through. Either it's suicide, either it's trauma, losing a business, losing a job, facing people, bullying, rape, abuse. Any type of fear has a solution, and death does not have to be one of it. So keep those in mind. In our next episode, we're going to talk about the solutions to the fears of facing fears, and that's going to be part 3. But get yourself ready and in mind that you created these emotions and that you have power over anything whatsoever. You give power to it and you can take that power back. It is possible. So next week we're going to talk about that on Friday. I hope this episode helps you to understand that fears are not part of life. It is something that we'll always have to go through. It is a process. It doesn't happen all at one time. It takes process. It takes time sometimes. Sometimes for people it just takes once. But for me, it took me a lot of time and processing to actually overcome fear. And I believe for people, they take their time, and that's okay. That's okay. So I hope whatever it is that you're going through, you're able to face your fears and overcome it. I'm PraiseHopel. Come back next time. In the episode Fears of Facing Fears Part 2, we talk about different types of fears and the reality of facing fears, and also processing in fears. As this episode talks about fears, we all have to deal with it, and in the future we are going to talk more about fears. Next week it's going to be part 3, Fears of Facing Fears, and we're going to talk more about fears and how to overcome it. Now we have hints of what it is and the power that we have over it, but we haven't really gone into depth into what power we can actually use to overcome different type of fears. Next week, which is part 3, we're going to be covering different type of fears and different type of techniques to overcome fears. So if you love this episode, click the subscribe button below, and you can also subscribe to our blog. Once you subscribe once below, you subscribe to our blog, you subscribe to our mailing list, so you get our mails on deals, coupons, our blogs, and updates on our podcast. You get to be a Opex here, that is one, or somebody that is in the Opex Market family. So I'm PraiseHopel from Opex Market Company, HopexPodcast as well. If you have any questions and comments, put them below and come back next time. Thank you for always coming back. I'm PraiseHopel. Thank you.